This is Oxford. It's where I'm from, and it's quite a nice place to be from. There's pretty buildings, a rather famous university, and a shark embedded in someone's roof. It's also not very car friendly. They would rather you cycle or use the bus than drive your polluting death box on our historic and peaceful streets, you evil motorist. In fact, in an attempt to keep cars out of the city centre, it introduced the world's first ever park and ride. There's a thoroughly exciting claim to fame you probably didn't know Oxford has. As such, you might not expect Oxford to feature in a decades-old racing game. But it does! And of course, that particular racing game is called London Racer. Yeah. London Racer was released in 1999 as part of a series of racer titles made by Dutch company Davalex that also included Europe Racer, USA Racer and Autobahn Racer. The London variant was also known as M25 Racer. For any non-Brits watching, the M25 motorway is the big circular traffic jam that stretches all the way around London. Just what you want to name a game after, so I can see why they changed it. It features courses around the M25 and the centre of London, as well as the quick jaunt into Oxford for some unexplained reason. And while I enjoy seeing my hometown in a PS1 game, it does seem a bit weird that they included it in something called London Racer. Oxford isn't even on the M25. But anyway, what's the game itself like? This is one I did have as a child, and I do remember it being somewhat popular back in the day. It's essentially a cumulative time trial where each race counts towards your overall time, and whoever completes everything the quickest is the winner. A bit like the Paris-Dakar, but without the off-roading or the cool cars. You start off with a modest budget for your first car, which means you'll have to buy a Mini. Another random Oxford fact for you, this is where they make the Mini, or the new ones at least since BMW bought it. You only get the most interesting facts on this channel. Clearly our friends at Davalex couldn't get the naming rights though, so this is actually a Nimi. The lawyers will never suspect that one. That also explains the Beetle, the Opel Astra, and the Trafalgar. I'm guessing that's supposed to be a Jaguar. You earn more money as you progress through the races, which can be spent on various upgrades, brand new cars, and fixing damage. And the latter of those is where you're going to be sinking most of your hard-earned cash. The damage on this game is absolutely brutal, and it's partly brought on by the bad physics model. If you hit the side of the track, you're pinballed back out, which usually sends you into another accident. On narrow roads such as here, you get bounced from side to side and it's a struggle to regain control. Bam, 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 which is definitely going to leave a few dents. You're also contending with oncoming traffic that's forever appearing at inopportune times, and then the police notice your illegal racing exploits and attempt to bring you to a stop. All the while, the damage meter is creeping up, the black smoke starts to billow out, and it is exceedingly difficult to complete one race without totaling your car, especially as you can't see where you're going through the fumes of your dying vehicle. The only option is to try and be more careful, take things slow and just try to survive. But this is supposed to be a race. There's no time for dawdling, so you've just got to go for it and hope for the best. Which usually ends up like this. It means you'll end up redoing the same tracks numerous times, which does get a bit tedious. There's only 8 to begin with, so maybe this was their way of extending the game's runtime. There's some other weird stuff as well, such as the boundary of the tracks. There's a few areas where it looks like you should be able to drive, but there's an invisible wall blocking the way. Maybe this is how F1 could solve track limits. It's also very easy to collect money. A good job really considering how much you're spending on repairs. I'm not even sure how you earn it, it's not obvious. There's prizes for where you finish, but nowhere near the amount you end up with at the end of each race. If only it was that simple in real life. Even with fixing damage, I was able to buy the best car in the game with max upgrades by the end of race 3. Not that having those appears to make much difference. The AI seems to match whatever car you have, so it all feels rather pointless. I mentioned the police earlier, and it's a cool idea to have the local authorities spice things up, but the London bobbies aren't very good it seems. They certainly have the speed and can pull up alongside you before attempting to block the road, but it's a pretty shoddy job and most of the time they miss. Occasionally they're able to pull it off and catch you, but they're fairly lenient and let you off with a warning the first 2 times. The third time they will eventually slap you in the handcuffs, but they never managed it against me. I had to fake this one just to see what happened.
This is your third warning. You're coming with us.
As it turns out, you lose the race and have to start again, so that was worth the effort. The police cars also have a European siren, which is a bit odd. It should sound like this. I've lost all immersion now. Speed cameras are another fun addition, especially having the ability to knock them over. Funnily enough, for a game with such ruthless damage, running into these, or the lamppost for that matter, don't hurt your car, so plough into as many of those as you like. Eventually you'll get through all the races and, if you're like me, find out that you finished last. After a while I was just trying to get to the end. The damage is simply too much to deal with. It's a shame because there's some fun ideas in here, but ultimately it's not a good game. I found a particularly unflattering review from the Pixel Empire which described it as a hit that was as unlikely as it was undeserved. It was a popular game, but no one seems to know why. Maybe it's just because Oxford's in it. And this strange popularity led to a sequel, unsurprisingly called London Racer 2, that did fix some of the original's problems. This one introduced power-ups such as repair spanners, which instantly solved the relentless damage issue. It also added characters to race against, which was a nice touch. Memorable drivers such as Ranjit Gupta, the IT specialist from Manchester, and Brian McCosey, the mechanic from Liverpool, who will surely go down in motorsport folklore. But the police have gotten even more useless and don't even pull you over anymore. No, they just give chase until they don't. Yeah. The speed cameras are gone too. So while it's a better game overall, it's lost the things that at least made the first one interesting. It also replaced Oxford with Edinburgh, as well as bonus courses in New York, Las Vegas and Chicago.
But we don't care about them. The people want Oxford Racer. Someone make it happen.